Hello everyone, how are we doing? Um, the conference will be starting in a few seconds, in a few minutes from now. Uh, so let's just see who, and it's live on YouTube as well. You're welcome to the first edition of BEX-CON 20 of BEX-CON virtual conferences. First off, to start a virtual conference is so it's not virtual BEX-CON conference. It's a platform for businesses to collaborate, network, and grow. And it gives an opportunity for businesses to showcase what they offer, what their business is about, what is the services they render, um, what are the the products, the goods they supply, they sell. This gives you an opportunity to showcase your products. So in today's conference, we'll be having two speakers that will be speaking to us today. They're both experts in their field. I will be having Leonel De Paramore. She's a small business consultant and she has vast experience. So she will be speaking to us first. Then we would also have Ikenamadi, who is a super resource person that will be speaking as well on key topics. I'll keep the topics on the wraps. I'll leave it to them to introduce the topic when the time comes. So, in a couple of minutes, we should be starting the conference. So, let's just see who's in, if there's anyone in at the moment. So, and it's also live on YouTube as well. Hello, Niga Harish. How are you? Thanks for joining the meeting. Welcome
Yeah,
to BEX-CON.
good. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Um, Thanks for joining the conference. Could you please introduce yourself in a few minutes? You have a business. You're just a participant, or just let us know a bit about yourself.
I am just a participant. I came from the Twitter. I don't know what this meeting is about. I just came so I can learn new things. So yeah,
Okay. That's fine. You're welcome. It's a business conference where people would about learn skills on how to promote their business and manage their businesses in this
right.
virtual era that we are in at the moment. Because of COVID and lockdown, how
Yeah,
businesses can thrive. Using a virtual medium and platform, and
right.
also give businesses opportunity to showcase what they offer.
Uh,
So um,
that's a good step.
yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks so much for joining. I will be waiting on the first speaker to come on. Hello, please, if you're there, just let me know by raising your hand, your virtual hand there, and I would glad to get to talk to you for a few seconds before the conference starts fully. Hello.
Hey, Hugo, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Yeah, I'm fine. I'm doing very well. You're welcome to the first edition of the BEX-CON Business Conference. You're welcome.
Thank you so much. Let me just start my video. There you go. Can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you. I can see you very well. Can you see me?
Perfect. Yes, I can see you.
Yeah. So, because we have 10 minutes, what I have on the schedule is 10 minutes for businesses that are on here early to just have 1 or 2 minutes to just talk about their businesses, or just tell us the name of their business, give a plug on where to find them and things like that. Then afterwards, we'll go on to starting the program proper, that is having the speaker come on, which is it's yourself. Thanks for coming on once again. And it's also live on YouTube, so you could also see it on YouTube for those of you that may not be able to get it on Zoom. So rather than wait, I'll just say first off, there are two speakers. One, the first speaker is Leonor De Paramore. I'll be speaking first, and then the second speaker is Iken Amadi. He'll be speaking as well. Leona is a business consultant and really doing great work, helping small businesses build their processes and move forward. I would like to welcome Elena Figado. I hope I got your name correctly. I'd like to welcome a participant to the conference. You're welcome. And then the second speaker, Iken Amadi, is a consultant in his own right and a high-value resource person that has been doing great work in Nigeria as well. So we have this an international conference, so it has an international feel. Once again, I would like to make the announcement. If you're a business owner, a small business owner, entrepreneur, you could just few minutes. We have few minutes for you to just say a bit about your business, give a plug where people can find your business, what you do, and then we'll go on to start the conference itself. So any businesses around available at the moment, business owners? Before we start, because very soon I'll be letting Leonor De Paramore take the stage. Please try to mute your microphones so we can all hear whoever is speaking at the moment and see whoever is speaking as well at that moment. So that's just a bit of information for us all. Okay, I think rather than waiting, because ideally I would have wanted to start by 12:15, but rather than waiting, let's just give it a go and give it a start, so we could start on time and finish on time as well. And the speakers could even have extra time to even speak more if they wish. So I'd like to reintroduce Leona De Paramore. I've introduced her before. She's a small business consultant doing great work, helping businesses thrive and grow by improving their processes. Leona De Paramore, please take the stage. You can go with the first paper that you have to present, if that's okay with you.
Thank you so much, Hugo. Well, sure. Let's start our BEX-CON, or first BEX-CON. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so let's get introduced. Our title, youth. I think it says that host disabled participant screen sharing. So okay. You'll probably have to.
I'll give you some.
Let me know so I can share it, please.
Yeah. In a moment. Okay, so I'll make you a host. Okay, so you've got it?
Yes. Let me just see if I can share it now. Yes.
So now you can share your slide and your paper.
Perfect. Okay. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, I can see your screen.
Perfect.
I hope everyone else can see the screen. If you can't see the screen, please just raise your hand. You could do it by actually raising your hand or tapping the virtual hand there. Okay. I think I
All
can
right.
see it. I think everyone can see it. Okay.
All right. So just to reintroduce myself, my name is Leonor de Paramo. I am a business strategy consultant and a small business advocate. And first of all, before I begin, I want to thank you all for, joining us on BEX-CON. I just hope that you enjoy it, and I just hope that you find it valuable to your business. So if you have any questions, please take notes, okay? Because I'm going to be having a Q&A session at the very end of my presentation where I'll be just more than happy to answer them for you. So in the meantime, please sit and relax so we can start talking about today's topic, which is designing process strategies for startups in a virtual business landscape. So I want to ask you to take a moment and memorize, but most importantly, to write down these three important words: process, strategies, and virtual or digital. The reason why I'm asking you to do this is because these three words combined together can actually make a huge positive impact in your business. So did you know that 80% of small businesses survive during their first year of operations? So while this number may seem surprisingly high for some of you, let me know that from now on, this number decreases sharply, meaning that less than 50% of small businesses reach their fifth year of operations. So what we can infer from this is that most small businesses fail at the end of their lifetime just because they lack of capital, they may run out of money, they probably have inexperience managing a business, they don't have a plan, or simply because their service or their product do not fit the market needs. So let me just start talking about the first word that I asked you to write down: business strategy. And in my experience, I've asked business owners in the past, what's your strategy? And for my surprise, the response to this question is a long silence, followed by, strategies too sophisticated, or strategies romantic, or simply strategies not for me. So by getting these repetitive responses over time, I realized that most small businesses' approach to business is a focused business perspective, where most of the business owners start managing their internal business capabilities, focusing mainly on their processes, on their products or services, and on keeping their employees content and productive. I mean, there is nothing wrong with this approach, but in the long run, businesses start to experience inefficiencies. You may find business owners putting out fires on their day-to-day basis, and this is where small businesses start making mistakes. So in my experience, this is where I suggest small business owners to complement this perspective with a broader business perspective, meaning that this perspective actually considers everything that affects the business externally. It considers all the factors that generates external pressures to your business. And by this, I mean the competition. By this, I mean your customers. And by this, I mean all the laws, regulations, licenses that you need to operate, social responsibility, and even the impact that stakeholders can have in your business. So this approach complements the previous approach that I explained by providing you relevant information on how your competition is doing and what they are specifically doing to stay relevant in the market, what your customers' needs and demands are, and what exactly do you need to comply with all the laws and regulations and to keep everyone that benefits from your company happy. So this is where strategy comes in handy. So how can you actually implement strategy, and how can you take this approach to your company? So in few words, strategy is what will guide you on the how to get where you want to be. Business strategy is the result of the diagnostic of the past and present, whose purpose is to understand how your company is doing so you can define what you want to achieve. So in this sense, a strategy defines a frame of reference to act, to organize, and to state all the needed decisions to reach those objectives in the future. So Strategy considers all the internal things that I just mentioned before: your products, your services, your processes, your employees. But at the same time, it considers all the external factors that we also talked before that are affecting your business. So once you actually understand and have your strategy can help you gain clarity, because strategy basically defines the path that you need to take to fulfill your business objectives and to fulfill your business vision or purpose. It also helps you identify and act upon opportunities. It helps you create value, but not only for yourself, but as well for your stakeholders. Remember, strategy considers everything. It helps you as well to identify and defend their valuable competitive position. So one of the main goals of strategy is to actually identify the sources within your business of competitive advantage. But in the end, in the long run, it helps you as well defend it and sustain it over time. And finally, but not least, strategy helps you to prepare for growth if it's the desire of your company and the need of your company. So remember that strategy, especially now in these complex and turbulent times, is more important than ever. So it can help you as well gain clarity to fulfill your objectives and to reach to your purpose. But at the same time, it will give you the tools and actions and everything that you need to do in order to survive any crisis, for example, as the COVID-19 that we're actually having. So strategy is very important that you have it clear and defined for your business, which only takes me to start talking about the second word that I asked you to write down: processes. But I want to stop right here and ask you, what is a process? So in the simplest definition, a process is a series of steps and decisions that needed to complete a work. So if we stop here for a moment and think, we can find processes in our day-to-day lives. For example, preparing a breakfast. What are the steps that you need to do to actually prepare your favorite morning scrambled eggs? Most likely, you'll just have to crack the eggs, add a little bit of salt and pepper, mix ingredients, turn on the stove, and so on, right? But what happens if we prepare a budget? So we can find here probably a little bit more complex processes than, making your favorite morning scrambled eggs. So for this, you probably need to understand what are the different revenue streams that your business have. Consolidate them to understand how your income would look like. Then consider your costs, consider your expenses, and then so on. And finally, I just want to give you an example of buying a gift, for example, to your significant other. So there's a lot of decision making in this process. I mean, what is the budget that I want for that particular gift? Should I buy it online? Should I go to a physical store and purchase it? So these are just examples of processes that we find in our day-to-day lives. But the characteristics that what I'm trying to say here is that they can be processes, that they can be simple, they can be complex. There are a lot of decision-making in processes, but most important, they require action to get things done. So now let's take this concept in business, okay? And I want to ask you, what do you need to do to build strong processes for your business? Well, let's start by taking a look at how a functional business may look like. This, what you see in this screen, is what Michael Porter, an American academic that specializes in economic and strategic theories, define as primary activities. Okay, and let's start by talking a little bit about operations. So operations are all the processes that start from sourcing to manufacturing, logistics, transportation. But what happens if you are a service provider? Let's think, for example, a digital marketing firm. What are the processes in a digital marketing firm? So they most likely optimize the search engine optimization. They design strategies in a digital world for their clients. So all of these are the services that, if you are a service provider, should go into this particular process. Now, moving on to sales. Sales is pretty straightforward because it's all the efforts that a company needs to make to generate a sale, or simply to attract potential new customers, or simply to retain the actual ones, okay? Then marketing. And I want to stop here and discuss this a little bit further, because for small businesses, I've seen that business owners tend to not include or not execute this particular process because they believe it is not relevant within their core operations. But I want to ask you, What if you don't market your product, your service, or your business? How do you expect that customers or potential customers find you, or even worse, how do you expect them to actually purchase from you? So marketing is all about advertising. It's all about promotion. It's about connecting. It's about reaching out. But most importantly, it's about communicating your values and what you have to offer to those potential customers. So marketing can be done via traditional ways, such as print advertising, radio, television, even word of mouth, right? But recently, the digital marketing has been, gaining a lot of momentum, and it's basically about promoting your business through the internet, meaning being on social media and be able to be found on search engines. Oops, I'm sorry. And last but not least, I want to talk about the services at the very end of this chain of primary activities that you're seeing here. So think about customer service. Think about gaining feedback from your customers. What about, for example, product returns? So all of these services that actually give support to all of these previous activities are actually included in these services. So what I want you to take from this particular slide is that you should think of these primary activities as your business foundations. Think of them as the backbone of your company. So if you start operating your business without any of these activities, you may be building basically your business like over a deck of cards, and at some point it will collapse. So build strong foundations by mapping out each of these areas, by defining these areas very carefully, and by having them implemented. This is basically the support and the foundations of your business. But you can't forget about having in place as well all those processes that support those primary activities. And these activities or these support activities can be, for example, finance, with activities such as planning, budgeting, accounting, as bookkeeping, accounts receivables and payable, taxation, legal. For example, you may be needing to do some contract negotiation, or you might be needing at some point of your business some legal advice. Human resources for the case of recruiting new talent, or simply for designing the career path of your employees, right? And IT, which is basically will provide your company with IT solutions. So it is important you also have, at least if you don't have the enough expertise in any of these activities, that you have them mapped out, that you know exactly how to proceed in case you need each of these activities. If you can include them within your day-to-day activities, that's awesome, because it will actually help you support in-house your primary activities. But remember that you can also redirect this to some expert to help you in any of these areas. But it's important that you have them as well, as I mentioned before, to have them mapped out and know how to proceed in case you need support in these areas. So what are the characteristics of a solid process? And let's begin that a solid process should have what I called the 3S. The first S is a scope, because you need to understand where your process begins and where your process finishes. You have to know the steps of the process. And finally, you need to know the sequence of those steps. You need to understand the exact order that you need to implement each of these steps. So once you have the 3S's defined for your processes, then you'll gain clarity on how to implement that process. The second thing here is that processes have a purpose and have objectives. So processes basically are born with a necessity. So if you have a necessity, build a process for that. Then processes need to be fully implemented. Processes need to have a responsible person or a responsible team to make sure that that process is implemented, going as predicted, and as well controlled. And finally, processes are measured. They are measured through key performance indicators, or KPIs, because you need to understand if your implemented processes are being productive, are being efficient, or if they need some kind of adjustment or improvement to actually generate the expected results. So one important barrier to build strong processes is the need for the specific know-how to implement these processes. However, this can be achieved via two ways. The first one is internally, by providing training to your existing employees, right? Then bringing as well superior leadership to help you with the management and implementation of these processes. Or finally, by bringing into your company a specific personnel with a required know-how that you need to implement those knowledge for your business. But the other approach is that you can find this know-how externally through outsourcing the processes that you want to implement to a third party. You can also bring a consultant or an expert to help you implement, guide you through the entire process of implementing this process within your company. Or finally, by having alliances or partners with other companies that can help you move forward with these processes that you need to implement. So remember that in order to have a strong business, you need to build strong foundations. So please remember that you need to focus initially on your primary activities. That's the most important thing. Have them mapped out, have them implemented, and designed carefully so it can work as a well-oiled machine. And have as well in place and mapped out those support activities that will help your primary activities function as I just mentioned before. So this only gets me to the third word that I asked you at the very beginning of the presentation to write down, which is digital. But more specifically, I want to talk about the digital reality and trends and how your business can capture value from it. So let me start by letting you know that a virtual business is one that moves a significant portion of its business to be online by utilizing digital means, technology, or software. And here you can see several examples that companies are utilizing nowadays to migrate to a more digital business. For example, companies are utilizing Wi-Fi to stay connected. They're utilizing the cloud to share information or to store it. They're utilizing e-commerce platforms to sell online. They're utilizing e-payments. They're actually advertising on social media and utilizing different technological devices that can help them automate their processes. So remember that the only constant here is change. And those companies that fail to adapt or fail to innovate, they will end up failing at the very end of their path. So remember that this is where the digital means come in handy, because digital means are tools that will help your business stay up to date with all the trends, with all the market demands, and as well it can help your business improve your processes and enhance your capabilities at some point. So now I want you to start talking about some digital trends that your company should evaluate and consider. And let's start by mentioning that there is an accelerated e-commerce growth, or what I like to call the online sales, okay? So let me show you some data. What you can see here is the global retail's growth forecast to 2023. And even though it seems like the industry is still growing, it is growing at only 3%, okay? But if you compare this growth to the global e-commerce sales, you can see that there is an accelerated growth, and it is projected to reach in 2023 $6.5 trillion. So what I'm trying to say here by comparing these two, okay, is that the global e-commerce segment is presenting an accelerated growth and presents for your business an opportunity to consider participating in online sales. This only gets me to the second digital trend that I want to mention, which is that in 2021, the number of online shoppers is expected to rise over 2.14 billions, which, you know, it's a huge potential pool of buyers for you. So it only fortifies the opportunity that I mentioned before, which is you need to be online. The third trend is that smartphones accounted for 65% of retail online visits worldwide. So did you know that half of the American small businesses do not count with websites? Well, if you don't either, my suggestion is that you consider and evaluate having one. But most importantly, that you have your site or your online store optimized for mobile use. A lot of people are spending a lot of their time connected to smartphones, searching, comparing products, finding new ideas, etc. So you need to be at the reach of their hand through the smartphones. Then recently, this is one of the recent trends, okay, that there's an increasing number of social shoppers. And this trend started to occur when Facebook and Instagram incorporated to their social platforms the buy button, meaning that this is a huge opportunity for companies to actually start selling their products online, because a lot of people are spending on average 2 hours of their day connected on social media platforms. So again, this represents a huge opportunity for your business to evaluate selling and advertising on social media platforms. Then we have that 60% of people would rather message than call a business. Again, a lot of people are spending a lot of time connected through their iPhones or through their smartphones or Androids or whatever other device, tablets. And again, it's easier for them to message the company rather than call. It's faster to receive a message back from a company through, a chat rather than, holding forever for someone to answer your phone over a call service. So again, the opportunity here is that you should evaluate, provide support to your customers via social media platforms at chatbots. And finally, we cannot forget about COVID-19. I mean, COVID-19 has been transforming and shaping our reality, our recent reality, but it's also forcing businesses to go more virtual. So it's transforming our workplace. It's forcing us to move to a remote work. So the opportunity here for you is that you start preparing your company at your capabilities and process level so you can support your employees with digital tools and training. This will only accelerate the learning curve and make your company run a little bit more smoother. Before I enter into how you can capture value in the virtual world, I want you to remember that the digital tools, that the digital means are tools that will help your business. And the trends are what basically you need to understand to pick which of these trends will represent an opportunity for your business and will actually generate value for you. So now moving on to summarize, how can you capture value in the virtual world? As I mentioned before, your company needs to stay always informed with online and digital trends. You need to understand that the only constant is change, and those who fail to adapt will end up failing. So up to adapt. Understand the risks, but most importantly, identify those potential opportunities that, as I said before, will generate value and will enhance your capabilities. And remember again, the goal for the digital reality is for you to seek differentiation and that you leverage your capabilities through the usage of this digital means. And this only gets me to the last part of my presentation. That is, how can you maximize your business results through alignment within your organization? So business success can be achieved when your business processes are aligned with your strategy and are supported by the appropriate digital tools. So we talked about strategy. I mentioned that strategy helps you gain clarity so you can understand what are the needed things that you need to implement to reach your business objectives and your business purpose or vision. Then we talked about processes, how you need to have strong business foundations and those support activities mapped out so you can have a strong business. And finally, we discussed that the digital is happening, that is a change in reality, but at the same time that the digital means only helps you to maximize your business results by improving your processes and also by enhancing your capabilities. But it is only then that when these three words or these three things are combined, that at the very intersection, you can maximize your business results, you can create value, and most importantly, you can achieve success through the alignment. So what does this mean? As I said before, strategy gives you clarity on how you can reach your objectives and how you can reach your business purpose. So now that you know the path, you need to be aligned externally and ask yourself, is your value proposition aligned with the customer needs and demands? Does your business comply with the laws and industry regulations? And then is when you need to align yourself internally and prepare your processes, your product, your people, your systems, everything that you have internally within your business to be aligned with external and with your strategy. So ask yourself in this particular point, do you have all the needed processes in place? Are your processes, people, and system aligned with each other? And finally, once you know all this and you are internally aligned, you are externally aligned with your strategy, what are the digital means that you need to incorporate to your business to make it function even better? So which digital means can create value for your firm and support your business operations? And the ones that you decide to implement, how can they create a strong competitive position for you? So how can you achieve alignment within your business? So with this alignment that I just explained before, you will get a set of actions and a set of projects, a set of activities that you need to implement to close the gap for your business to operate, to get you to achieve your business purpose and objectives. So all of this traduces into an implementation plan. So have it mapped out, write it down, have it clear, and then you need to convert it into a budget. Every project costs, right? So if you need to have a CRM system, how does it cost? If you need to make an adaptation to your manufacturing process, how much does it cost? You need to bring in a new recruit with a specific know-how, how much does it cost? And then build within that implementation plan a detailed budget. Then one of the most important steps in this process is communication. You need to communicate your plan to your employees and sometimes to your customers and clients, because if everyone is informed, everyone would know how to row in the same direction as you are and how to get to that expected result that you're actually aiming at. And finally, you need to measure. You need to measure your results and then understand where you can make improvements. Where do you need to make some adjustments so your expected result is, a lot similar than what you have on your implementation plan and at the end as a strategy. So remember, you need to have a strategy. You need to know your business and processes. And you need to adjust to the change in business conditions in the virtual landscape, because if you don't know where you want to go and what you need to get there, you will never make it. And remember that nowadays, if you are not online, you don't exist. Thank you very much. Again, my name is Leonor de Páramo. And if you have any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer for you.
There's a question from Andrea. I'll just read out the question.
Perfect. Ooh.
So she says, "Hi, Leonor. Thank you so much for this presentation. I have two questions, so that's more job for you. Do you think the foundations you mentioned in my company strategy can be built after being in the market for years? That's the first question. Then the second one is, how do I know if my foundations are strong enough?"
Yeah, those are great questions. Thank you, Andrea. To answer your first question first, sure, you can build strong foundations after you've been operating for several years, okay? It's not the idea, but I understand that several small businesses start operating, with several things, and then they start making adjustments in the way. But the most important thing is that now you have all the information on how a functional business looks like. And the first thing that I would suggest is that you take a review of all your processes, understand how they work, and most likely understand what you are missing to actually get those primary activities in place so you can find strong foundations. So yeah, it is possible to actually, adjust it or create a strong foundations after you've been operating for several years. This is actually called process improvement, okay, or process creation, basically. So the second question, can you repeat it, please, Hugo?
Okay, just one moment, please. Second question, how do I know if my foundations are strong enough?
Okay, yes. Again, revision, you need to make a diagnostic on where your processes are standing today. Understand, measure them so you can have a diagnostic of today, and then compare it to the best practices and make sure where you stand in the way. So if you're not actually there to the best practices, write down or identify which activities you need to do to actually get there. So again, it's process implementation, and try to guide on this. Let me just get there. No, I went too far. Here. these are the characteristics of a solid process. Make sure that the processes that you have currently implemented have a scope, have steps, and have a sequence, that they have objectives, that they're fully implemented, that you have a person that it's actually, executing that particular process. And as I mentioned before, measurement. You need to understand first where you are with your current process, and then define a path or a process improvement project so you can actually improve that particular process. But these are the characteristics of a solid process.
Yes. So, Andrea, I hope that answers your question. Any other questions coming in? Okay, I'll just ask a question that I have. I'm guessing many small businesses or businesses and let's say micro businesses would have this question. How can small businesses marry business improvement to their cost, in view of their budget, because they don't have big operating budgets? How do they marry process improvement or strategy improvement and their costs with respect to their costs?
Okay, let me see if I understand your question correctly. You want to understand how to reduce costs of your processes by improving them, correct?
No, what I mean is like a small business wants to improve their business, but they have restriction of a small budget, small financial resources. So how do they navigate such problem?
Okay, so if you're budget restricted, okay, if you're a micro company, you can actually make it work as well. Let me just go back to my primary activities, okay? So if you're budget restricted, you need to understand first your 4 main activities, the backbone of your business, your foundations. And even if you're not, developing a super complex process here, you need to at least know how to make and execute all of these areas. And if you're budget restricted, you can actually try to reduce your costs and expenses by making some improvements, by finding efficiencies, by probably understanding which is your highest cost and see the ways where you can actually lower them. You have fixed costs and you have variable cost. The ones that you probably can modify are your fixed costs, because those are the ones that will actually get reduced as more as you start producing, if you achieve the economies of scale at some point. So again, focuses on your costs, focuses on your expenses, know your processes, but also have them all in place so you can know where exactly you can cut costs and expenses so you can stay in budget for a micro company.
Okay. Thank you very much. I think there's another question that's coming from a participant. I'll just read it off quickly.
Yes.
Okay, this question is from Elena. She says, "Hi, Leonor. For any business, but especially for startups, how important is it? How important is it to show potential investors or financial sources that our business has a clearly defined strategy?"
Yeah, that's actually a very good question. So if you want to call the attention of potential investors or financiers as a bank institution, for example, your strategy here is key, because your strategy, as I said, will define what you want to achieve, what is the purpose of your business. And then you need to map out your business plan. The business plan is basically what they ask, so they can know a little bit more about your company and what you're trying to achieve. And then that's where the investors or potential investors will decide either or not to invest in your company. So have a strategy, have your objectives clear, have how you want to reach those objectives in the clearest way, and then build a business plan so you can present to your investors. But of course, it needs to include as well your processes well defined. You need to include your vision, how you are going to implement those processes. And I want to highlight here the fact that you can become more attractive to potential investors if you're if you embrace the digital, if you embrace technology, because at the end you're just showing that you want to stay up to date, that you are willing to improve your processes, and that's basically what they're interested into, in how you can you know, make the return of investment for them, you know, more feasible.
Yeah, that's perfect. I think that answers the second part, because there was a second part to the question. I think what you've just said now answers the second part, but I'll still just read it out. And also, is the use of technology important for investors? And I think you've answered that bit.
Oh, well, that's great. Yes, technology definitely helps when you're presenting your case to a potential investor. So consider it. Again, change is the only constant, and those companies that fail to adapt or fail to innovate will just stay stuck. So adapt, change, and try to incorporate to your business technology and the digital world.
Okay, that's wonderful. It's been very educative and informative. I'll call this a lecture from Leonardo Palmer. It's been a very interesting session, and I'll say this is a very nice way to start up the first edition of BEX-CON business conferences. So this is a perfect lecture to have. So if you can look on your screen, you have where you can interact with Leonor virtually, like we're talking about the virtual world. So she's on Twitter, on LinkedIn, and her email address is there as well. So you could get all those down and send her an email or tweet at her, follow her on Twitter, and definitely she would get in touch with you, and she could help you out in any issues that you may have, or give you further clarifications with regards to any business issues that you have. Now we'll be having, let's say, a 2-minute water break. Just have your coffee, your tea, or your bottle of water like me, and then we'll be back for, we're not going anywhere, then move on to the business showcase, which is for entrepreneurs that may be on here. You talk about your business, just a few minutes, you give your plug. My business, we sell, let's say, shirts. You can find us at www.this. Our address is this. You know, just plugins and let people know what your business is about. So I don't know. I think we've got a few questions that came in, Elena. So if you're a business, if you have a business, this is an opportunity for you to come on and tell us a bit about your business, so people get to know about your business and how they can patronize you or provide support for you.
I'm sorry, did you have a question for me?
No questions. No questions for you. We go. It's now we're moving on to the business showcase for the entrepreneurs.
Perfect. Well, thank you everyone for attending. I hope that you enjoyed the presentation. As Hugo said, here is my contact information. If you have further questions, or if you would like to discuss a particular situation, please just send me an email or contact me via social media. I'll be more than happy to go through it with you. And in the meantime, I'm going to stop sharing so Hugo can continue with the BEX-CON. Thank you so much, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much as well. Okay. So let's say, Elena, Andrea, do you have businesses? You want to talk about your businesses for a few minutes? Okay, so while we wait for other businesses to start talking about their business, I will just give a brief insight into BEX-CON. The BEX-CON idea came to me, and I was thinking about how can I create a platform for businesses to interact, for businesses to collaborate amongst themselves, and grow their business, learning from resource persons and industry leaders who can give them proper insight on their business processes, business strategies, and even give them some guidance in terms of navigating the world of IP and things of that nature. So the initial plan was to have it in-house, was to have it in a brick and mortar venue, that is in an actual building and things like that. But just taking from what we've learned and from what Leonor the Paramore has told us rather during her paper that she presented, I had to innovate. I had to bring some innovation into it and adapt to the present situation, because COVID came in, and then you had restrictions with respect to movement. You had restrictions with respect to getting in touch with people. So I decided to opt for a virtual means to adapt modern technology using Zoom to interact with people all over the world. So we have people in different parts of the world, even in different continents. Like one of our speakers will be coming from, will be speaking from Africa, speaking from Nigeria. So see, it's as in adapting to the virtual. Adaptation in business, like the speaker said, is so key, so important, so important for everyone to take on board, because you fail to adapt, you die. So for instance, the cinema, we have used to be, or is a very big business platform where movie producers have their movies aired on their screens, and people come to watch and pay lots of money, and the movie sometimes makes billions and billions of pounds and dollars, but in this era there has been that struggle. The cinema houses and owners have really found it difficult with respect to adapting to modern trends, not modern trends per se, but adapting technology to the present situation that we face with COVID, lockdown, and things like that. But you have people like Warner Brothers using other means, like having their movies on digital downloads, having their movies on virtual streaming platforms like HBO Max, and Netflix, and things like that, Hulu, and companies like Amazon are growing even stronger. So in business, you must adapt. And that's a proposal I want to put forward for all of us to think about, while we're waiting for people to talk about any issues they may looking forward to people to talking about their businesses. A BEX-CON research group is something I'm thinking about, because I'm trying to, at each point, improve the service delivery of BEX-CON as a business conference. A research group that would see sharp minds, bright minds coming together to research and come up with new means of supporting businesses, new means of coming up with research ideas that would greatly help businesses, from the starting point to where they become really, really viable. So that's something I have at the back of my mind, and I'll just drop it to everyone. If you're interested, you could say so, and that would be nice. So it's just an idea I have. Now, if you're not having anybody come up, I'll just leave 5 more minutes for people to speak. But if no one comes up, then I think the second speaker would, I'll be calling on the second speaker to take us to give his own make his own presentation, and then we'll move on from there. After his presentation, we'll be having a Q&A where both speakers will be in a panel, and then you can ask further questions based on what both have presented, based on what Leonor has presented in a paper, and based on what Iken Amadi would also present in his paper as well. So let's just stay tuned. Thanks to everyone for joining. This is the first BEX-CON edition that people actually turned up. I'm really, really happy, and I appreciate your presence. So thank you so much.
in a few moments from now, we'll be having the second speaker coming to give his own presentation. And so let's just get ourselves ready to listen to what he has to say and present to us, and also be ready to ask any questions that you may have. Hi, sorry for the break in should I say transmission? Because the next speaker is meant to come on by 1:30, and that was what was originally set in the schedule. Because the plan was for this time to from 1 o'clock to 1:30 to be for businesses to talk about their businesses and plug in their businesses. So as that hasn't happened, I was trying to get the speaker to see if he could speak earlier to come on and take on his paper. So I've been trying to get in touch with him. I don't know if he's back on. He's not back on to speak. So the next speaker, let's just say is will be coming on to speak 1:30 because that's the time that was originally agreed with him that he will speak from 1:30 from half one. But we're expecting the businesses to come up to talk about their businesses and just generally plug in their business in this time frame, but that hasn't happened. So let's just say by 1:30, that's when he will come to speak because I've been trying to get in touch with him, but I've been unable to. I think because he might have had in his agenda that he'll be speaking from half one. So that's where we are at the moment. So while we wait for him, let's just share some of the objectives of BEX-CON conference because this is the maiden edition. So let's just share a slide that will just show us the basic concept or basic objective of BEX-CON. I'm sorry, this is the wrong slide, but I'll just read off what's on here. A veritable platform for businesses through collaboration and networking. Like I said earlier on, BEX-CON is an idea to create a platform, whether virtual or physical platform, for businesses to interact and learn new practices and learn the best practices, learn best business practices from resource persons, and also ultimately give businesses a platform to promote their businesses, sell their businesses, and inform people or inform prospective customers or clients what their business is all about and new things that have happened in their businesses that they would love to share with the general public and their clients. So that is what BEX-CON as a concept, as an idea is. And then also there's an idea I put forward, and Leonard de Paramore, I was wondering if you would want, if that what you think of the idea, what you think of the concept, the BEX-CON research group is more like a research community where people come together, put their heads together, and try to come up with new ways to support businesses, new processes that would be beneficial for businesses, beneficial for investors, and just generally move businesses forward. So I wonder what all the participants think of this idea.
Hi, Hugo. Yes, I think the idea of BEX-CON is a great idea for small businesses and startups to come together to actually relate with investors and interact with each other, and most importantly, so we can learn from each other. I think what you're doing here, it's a great initiative. Hopefully we can continue to see it in the upcoming years, and then it will still, gaining more momentum. So congratulations, and of course, thank you so much for organizing it and for hosting it.
Yeah, thank you very much for the kind words and the encouragement. It means so much to me that I have someone giving me such support, and that you appreciate what I'm doing and giving us your time, to be here. The first edition, it's not a big conference yet. It's not one of the big ones, but you still have given us your time to be here. And so from our schedule, the next 10 minutes, hopefully we'll be getting the second speaker on. So if there's anyone with any questions you want to ask, Leonor, while we have her here, you can go on to ask. If you have any questions for me, as far with respect to BEX-CON, with respect to the idea behind BEX-CON, with respect to how you can collaborate with BEX-CON in any way, shape, or form, you can ask those questions as we wait for the finals, the second speaker.
Sure. I have a question, Hugo. Are you planning to do BEX-CON on a yearly basis or several times a year so small businesses can get together?
So it's almost like I can't really hear you very well. I didn't hear you very well. Are you away from your microphone?
Let me just put on again my headphones. Give me just a second, please.
I don't really hear you very well. What's happened? I can't hear you very well. Or you could send it as a chat. You could send it as a chat, because I didn't quite hear what you just mentioned, what you just said.
Can you listen to me now, Hugo?
Okay, I think the second speaker has joined us. Mr. Ikena Amadi. I think you've joined us now. So, Mr. Ikena Amadi, you have the floor to take on the second, to give us your presentation of your paper. So let's just sit back and enjoy and listen to what the second speaker would be speaking on today. He's a resource person and a leadership consultant back in Nigeria who's doing wonderful work. So let's just listen to what the paper he has to present, and I'm sure we'll learn a lot from it.
Okay, good afternoon. Over here in Nigeria is afternoon, so good day, everyone. I trust you can hear me. Okay.
I can hear you.
Okay, I'm looking at the topic combating the challenges of maintaining organizational standards in a virtual workspace. Combating the challenges rather of maintaining organizational standards in the virtual workspace. Now, I want to start by saying these aren't unprecedented times. The times we are in aren't unprecedented times, but rather they are times for organizations to evolve and remain relevant in their space. You know, with the outbreak of the pandemic, the coronavirus pandemic, many have said that, oh, these are unprecedented times, but I don't think so. I think these aren't unprecedented times, but they are rather times for organizations to evolve and remain relevant in their space. Sometimes evolutions could be due to technological development. A certain technology comes in, and organizations need to change, need to evolve, need to adapt to that technology if they want to remain relevant. Other times it could be because we want to reach out to a different demography, and because of that we will make a change. Some other times it could be because of a government policy. A government policy comes in and we need to make a change. But this time is because of the coronavirus pandemic that has put pressure on any business that intends to remain relevant now and in time to come to make a change in the way they do business. And for most organizations, we've all gone virtual. Like the first speaker said, any organization that's not on is not on the internet, that is not going virtual, is termed to not exist, is seen as a non-existent organization. So every organization right now is going virtual because from what we hear, people have postulated the pandemic will disappear tomorrow. The pandemic could disappear in a month's time. It could disappear in a year's time, in 2 years' time. But as an organization, you're not going to fold your hands and wait and say, okay, well, let's wait for the pandemic to disappear. Let's wait for vaccines to get to everyone. Then we'll resume our activities. If you are going to wait, that simply means you'll be out of business in no time. So everyone learns to, organizations that want to thrive, learn to work with the pandemic. And one key way we have found out to work with the pandemic is by going virtual, is by moving most of our activities virtually, by working remotely as well. So there are three things I want to share with us this afternoon. Three key things I want to share with us. The first is values. The second is vision. And the third is family. Values, vision, and family in combating challenges of maintaining organizational standards in a virtual workplace. Now, when we learn to evolve, when we learn to adapt, we are able to remain relevant in our own sphere of influence. We're able to remain relevant in our own area of business. Somebody said, on a lighter note, somebody said the dinosaur didn't evolve. The dinosaur refused to evolve. You can see where it is right now. The dinosaur refused to evolve. You can see where it is right now. The dinosaur is nowhere. So organizations have learned to evolve, and one way to evolve is to go virtual. Now, I said three things. The first is values, the second is vision, and the third is family. I'll try and do that as quickly as I possibly can. Now, our value as an organization, our value as an organization comes from our values. Our value as an organization comes from our values. What makes us valuable, what makes us key, what makes us important is the values we hold. right? Then secondly, our values show who we are and how we do business. Our values show who we are and how we do business. Then thirdly, our values also are the reason why certain people do business with us. Why most people do business with us. We have common or shared values, and because of those common or shared values, what happens is we come into business partnerships. We come into working together. They want to do business with us. They want to work with us. Now, with the visual system, we are spread across different places. Staff are spread across. Some are working from home. Some maybe do go to the offices to work from the office as time permits. But most of us work from most employees work from home, work remotely. Now, for us to be able to maintain our standards, because our standards are the things that distinguish us in the marketplace, for us to be able to maintain these standards in our workplace, because what you give is key. What you give to society, what you provide in the marketplace is key. And if you don't keep up with your standards, what happens is after a while, because there's that competition. The other day I was talking to a colleague and we said, oh, look at this. There's this company that was into making diapers that everyone had known for a long while. Suddenly, a different company comes in and is almost taking over the business. It's taking a greater percentage of the market share of that business. So if your standards go down, your business is likely to go down. If you don't uphold your standards, your business is likely to go down. And if your business goes down, a lot of people will lose their jobs, and a whole lot will happen. So nobody wants his business to go down, and that's the key reason your standards shouldn't go down as well. So we start with our values. Our values are key. Our values are the things that make us valuable. Our value comes from our values. So one, we need to let our employees know. We need to let our employees know why we have these values. Why we have these values. They need to know why, the importance of these values, why these values are key, why these values are important. We say we value honesty. We say we value integrity. We say we value whatever it may be. We must show our people the importance. Organizations must show them the importance, not just reciting them over and again. So, oh, these are our values. No, this is a time that every organization must emphasize, show to their people, let them know why we have these values. What's the story behind the values? Why do we uphold this value and not that one? So that is key for every organization. Secondly, we must learn to promote the values. We must learn to promote the values. Like I said, the reason behind the values, now we need to create stories around the values. Are there people who are upholding those values in the office? Are there people who are there things that have happened in time past? Like I know from an organization right here in Nigeria, at the time, they were doing something for another organization, a governmental organization. That organization is non-existent at the moment. But they did something for that organization, and in the process, they made a mistake. They made a mistake in the course of delivering to that other governmental organization. What they did was to go back to that organization and tell them, hey, we made a mistake here. We made a mistake here. And everyone would have thought that because they owned up to their mistake, that organization would just kick them out. So, whoa, how come you made such a mistake? How come such a thing happened? They didn't do that. Rather, they took note of this organization as one that values integrity, as one that is ready to own up when they make mistakes. They took note of this organization and said, hey, if we want an organization that upholds integrity at any time, we revert to these guys because they made a mistake and they came up and they owned up to it. So be able to promote the values, One, let people know the importance, why we have these values. To promote the values. If someone is living the values, if we have examples of things we have done in the past as we stood for our values, let's talk about them. Are there personal experiences? Let's talk about them as well. So values are key. Our values are key. This is a time to talk about our values. This is a time to reorient our people, our staff, on the importance of our values. Like I said, our values are the key reason most of our clients and customers do business with us. Our values are the key reason most of our customers and clients do business with us. Now, this takes me to the next thing, vision. It takes me to the next thing, vision. As an organization, our shared values are the platform for a common vision that makes us a family. As an organization, our common values or our shared values are the platform for a common vision that makes us a family. That makes us a family. So, vision, I see vision as, for every organization, I see our vision as a pointer to the contribution we want to make to our world. I see vision as a pointer to the contribution we want to make to our world. That's how I see vision. That this organization, when we talk about our vision, we are looking at the contribution we want to make to our world. So when we look at that vision, is a corporate contribution. That corporate contribution is corporate because different people come together to make it corporate. So Mr. A is doing stuff, Mr. B is doing stuff, Mr. C is doing stuff. Now that contribution each person brings makes it a corporate contribution to the world. So each person, each individual, each employee must be reminded of their individual contribution. Must be reminded of their individual contribution. That, hey, those of you in marketing, you see, look at the vision, and this is your contribution. This is why you are important to this vision. This is what you bring to this vision. We must remind them, because you see, when people are not reminded, they have a way of just becoming lax. They have a way of just pursuing shadows. And aside that, when someone is not making a contribution, it's as though the person is not there. If a person isn't making a contribution, it's more like the person isn't there. So we must remind them of their contribution. The departments must be reminded. The individuals must be reminded that though we are apart, though we've gone virtual, though we operate now with virtual workspace, be reminded of your contribution you make. Be reminded of what you bring to the table, because if you are not making a contribution, it's as though you are not there. They should be reminded of the impact of their contribution, the gap they are trying to fill, because every organization that comes on, there's a gap we try to fill. Facebook tries to fill a gap. Is a social network. So why do we have Twitter? Twitter comes in to fill another gap. So we have Facebook, we have Twitter. Then why do we also have Instagram? Instagram comes to fill in another gap. Then how about Snapchat? How about TikTok? Different gaps they've come in to fill. So each department, each client, not client now, each employee must be reminded of the impact of their contribution, the gap they fill, the gap they come to fill. They must see the importance of their knowledge, their experience, their everything, their talents, their skills. They must see what it is directed to. It is directed to filling a gap. Now, this is key. This is important. They should be reminded of the gap they fill, reminded of the contribution they bring in. Now, when people are reminded constantly, or it is put in front of them that this is what you do, this is the gap you fill, this is the contribution you make, it makes them want to fill that gap, irrespective of where they are. It makes them to want to contribute more, close the gap more, irrespective of where they are. Right now, this leads me to the area of family. I'll tie this all up here. This brings me to the area of family. Now, in a virtual workspace, what this simply means is we communicate more often than not virtually. We don't gather anymore in the office, right? I work from home. Like my company at a time when Nigeria was hard hit, everyone was, the only people to come to the office were team leads, and that was once in a while. But every other person just work from home. Now, though we are apart, working virtually, there should be that sense of family. There should be that sense of family, because family is the structure in which we operate in. Family is the structure in which we operate in. Family is where we belong. Family provides accountability. Family is the structure we operate in. Family is family is where we belong, and family provides accountability. That though we are far, though we are distant, though we are virtual, there's still that um, sense of family everyone should have. Now, what do families usually do? Families communicate. Families communicate. So, for every organization, communication is a life wire. Where we don't communicate, people don't understand what's happening. People do whatever they like. But once there's communication, people are abreast with what's happening. So, what do we communicate? First and foremost, we learn to communicate goals. Everyone should know what are the goals. What are the goals for this week? What are the goals for next month? What are the goals for the year? What are the goals for this department? What are the personal goals for your unit? What are the personal goals for your team? Everyone should know that. Everyone should know that. So this means that for us to keep communicating goals, we should have regular meetings. We should have regular meetings. These meetings, of course, will be virtual, where possible face to face, with all the COVID-19 protocols being observed. But even when it is on screen, we should have regular meetings where we get to communicate what the goals are, where we get to communicate the expectations for the team, expectations for the division, expectations for the directorate, expectations from our clients. We have that opportunity, we have these meetings to communicate such things. The company direction. There's a company also here in Nigeria for a while. They've been involved in a particular industry, in a particular field, but right now they are diversifying. They are going into other areas. They want to go into the health sector and a whole lot of other sectors. Now, this information is being cascaded down. Everybody knows that, hey, this is what is happening. This is where we are going. This is what we are doing. And as they communicate that, they tie it to the vision. So everybody knows what the expectation is. Everybody is reminded of his contribution. Now, secondly, family communicates warmth and welfare. Family communicates warmth and welfare. Family communicates warmth and welfare. Though we are in a virtual world at the moment, operating a virtual workspace, we are still human beings. Though we are in a virtual workspace, we are still human beings. Though we are separated by screens, we can't hold hands anymore. We can't give high fives anymore. We can't smile at each other anymore. But so to speak, well, we can still smile through the screen. But basically, we are human beings. So we need to find out how our people are doing. How are they doing? How are they doing? And this also gives an opportunity to give some kind of encouragement, some kind of support to staff, to employees. Is there someone who isn't doing well as he should? This is a time to give encouragement, because there's a quote, I can't remember who said it now, but he said that encouragement is oxygen to the soul. Encouragement is oxygen to the soul. So we learn to give encouragement at this time. We learn to give encouragement. Everyone wouldn't mind some form of encouragement. Then we also learn to give appreciation and encouragement. Oh, hey guys, we can get this done. Hey guys, these goals, you have issues, just know that I'm behind you. I'm here to give you any support you need. You are going through stuff, meet this person, meet that person. In fact, there's a manual here, there's a book here, there's something here that could help you understand. Okay, let's meet after this meeting. Let's talk about this, let's talk about that. Form of encouragement. Then appreciation. Someone has done well. Someone has, we're trying to pull off something. and whoa, he's done it. What do? We appreciate him. There's a quote that says, thoughts of appreciation unexpressed are meaningless. Thoughts of appreciation unexpressed are meaningless. So if somebody is doing great, somebody has done well, we appreciate the person. We give him a high five. We tell him, hey, guy, you've done great. Then finally, family provide accountability. Family provides accountability. Now, this is where we receive reports from people. We receive reports. Remember, I said family communicates goals. Family communicates company direction. Family communicates expectation. Now, this is where family receives reports. This is where we receive reports from our people because family provides accountability. So reports should be provided. We get templates and say, okay, this is how we want the report to be given. So the key things that are desired, the key things that are expected. So we have a template, we have a report, we send it out to them based on the expectations, based on the goals. This is what we expect you to do, and we receive a report. It could be weekly, it could be daily, it could be weekly, weekly preferably. Then at the end of the month, we put everything together. But reports are key. Reports are key because they help management in taking decisive decisions, in taking well-informed decisions. When we don't have reports, it becomes difficult to know who is working. It becomes difficult to even maintain our standards because when you see the report, you're able to know that, hey, this person isn't doing what is expected to do. This one is going a different direction. We need to call him to order. He needs to be reminded of what exactly the company is about. So family provides accountability, and here we receive reports. We receive reports. Okay, I'm going to stop here. I'm going to stop here. Just do a quick summary. Three key things for us to maintain standards, organizational standards in our virtual workspace is one, being able to continually communicate our values, the importance of our values. Secondly, our vision, what as a company we are about, And thirdly, family, the structure in which we work. So these three things, just as I've applied them, would help organizations rather, it will help organizations maintain their standards in spite of the fact that we're in a virtual workspace, in spite of the fact that we work remotely. This would help us maintain our organizational standards. Now, one quick thing to add is every organization must or should determine the virtual workspace that works for them. They should determine people use Zoom just as we are here. We use Zoom. Some others use some other software and all, but everyone should be able to know what works for them. Train the people on how it works. Ensure everyone is in that space. Everyone is in that space. And once we're able to do that and pursue vision, pursue our values, pursue family, I think we should be able to maintain our visual standards. Thank you so much, Ugo. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much, Ikenna Amadi, for speaking to us. And I think it has been very informative and educative. So I think if there are any questions for the speaker, for Ikenna Amadi, please, you could send the questions in. And I think someone has made a comment. I don't know if there's a question attached to it. I'll just read it out for everyone to have a listen. Is hi. Thanks for your presentation. You have mentioned the values within a family, and it gets to me that those values have to match the values in the company you work in. What happened with your family value? What happened with your family values? I guess what happens if your family values do not align with the values of the company? what are your options? When, okay, so sorry, when. So I'll take the question again. It says, you have mentioned values within a family, and it gets to me that those values have to match the values in the company you work in. What happens when your family values do not align with the values of the company? What are the options? The question is from Cesar Guavera. I hope I didn't butcher your name. I'm entirely very sorry. From Cesar. So
Okay. Okay. Thank you for the question. Thank you for the question. Um, okay. I think if I understand the question correctly, you are looking at family, not family within the organization now, but family as a family someone belongs to. You have your parents or your children or and all. Then the organization, not the family within the organization, but your family that is made up of your father, mother, children, and all that. If that's what you're asking, and you're saying you're asking if when the values your family upholds is not the same with the organization you work with. Now, your values are an expression of yourself, right? When we lose our values, we lose ourselves. When we lose our values, let's say let's say a family upholds integrity. As a family, we uphold integrity. We stand for integrity. We stand for doing right. Now, I'm in an organization, and they don't see integrity as anything. They can tell lies, they can do anything just to get a job, they can do anything just to satisfy a client. They can just, for them, integrity doesn't matter. Now, as I said, when we lose our values, we lose ourselves. So if your family value that you've been brought up in, integrity, honesty, and sincerity, you've been brought up in those values, and you are forced or you are now in an organization, and of course, maybe they do pay you well, everything you need in an organization, they are providing it, but you are gradually losing yourself because when you go to see a client, you tell a lie. It's good to see another client, you tell another lie. Integrity is gradually etching off. You are losing yourself. So for me, I would say, what would you want? To lose your job or to lose yourself? Which do you prefer? Would you want to keep your job, lose yourself, or would you want to um, lose yourself, and keep your job? So that's the question before us. Do you want to keep your job, lose yourself? Do you want to lose yourself and keep your job? So that is where I don't know if I've been able to answer your question, but that's what points to us at the moment, based on what you asked.
Sorry, I was muted. I was muted. That's my bad. So I'll just read out a comment and then a question that has come in. Cesar says, "Great answer. Do not lose ourselves. Thank you." So he's very happy with and satisfied with the answer you've given to his question. And then Leonor asked, "Thank you." She said, "First of all, thank you, Kelechi. What would what would you suggest to keep your remote team productive and committed to their day-to-day activities?
Okay, what would you suggest, or would I suggest to keep your remote team productive and committed to their day-to-day activities?
Yeah.
Okay, now this team has been there for a while, I believe. They've been there for a while, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, or even in a day. And maybe even before they became a team, before maybe the team was formed, they had worked in other teams before, or they had just worked in the office, just worked on the project on their own. So they've had some wins before now. Basically, my point is they've had some wins before now. So always try to remind them of their wins. Remind them of their wins and the need to make more wins. The need to make more wins. Every win is a win. If you watch football, just the other day, I think was it last week? I can't remember now, but just recently, Manchester United beat a team by 9 goals to 0. Right, that's it. That's a big win. Whoa, 9-0. Then Chelsea beat another team by 1-0. That's a win as well. 9-0, 1-0. The key thing in football right there is we all got 3 points. So they've had wins. They've had wins. So we learn to always put those wins in front of them, and the need to make more wins. The need to make more wins. We've had this win. Now let's make another win. Right? Let's make another win. Then secondly, it's important to let them know the wins we want to make. The wins we want to make. The wins we want to make. So there's a project coming, or there's this about to happen. We need to make a win here. We need to make a win here. We need to make a win in this place as well. So you put it in front of them. Let them see it that, hey guys, we need to make a win here. We need to make a win here. And everybody loves to win. Everybody loves to win. So they look forward to having a win there as well. Then finally, just the first thing I said as well, when they make these wins, celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins. We're virtual, so you can send them a virtual Coke, a virtual cupcake, a virtual cake as well. But celebrate the wins. Celebrate the wins. So keep summarily, help them look forward to the wins. Help them look forward to the wins. Then when they make the wins, no matter how small, if it's a 9-0 win, a 1-0 win, celebrate those wins. Celebrate those wins. So yeah, that's my contribution to that question.
Leonor says, thank you. So my take is he's happy with the answer to the question. Now, next on the schedule is a business, is a panel. So if we have any question for Leonor the Paramore, with respect to her presentation, maybe have some questions as to how to design your process, things like that. Based on what she's presented, you can ask those questions at this point. If you also have questions for Ikena Amadi, Kelechi Amadi, you can also ask those questions now. So both speakers will be free to answer the questions that you have. So if you have a question from the first presentation, you can go on to ask the question. If you have a question from the second presentation, you can go on to ask the question as well. And just to inform us all, the conference will be ending earlier than previously scheduled, because we were looking forward to having a business showcase, but if 2 business showcases, one after the end of the first speaker's presentation, and then one at the end. But from the trend of today's event, of today's conference, unfortunately, who may not be having businesses showcasing their products. So that's what we wanted to do. So as a result, the event will be ending earlier than previously scheduled. So that's just a quick bit of information. If there are questions, it will be beautiful to hear those questions. Okay, I'll kick things off. This question is for Mr. for Ikena Kelechi Amadi. The question is for you. In a virtual workspace, like you said, it means everyone is working from a distance, sort of like a distance relationship of sorts. You know, you're working from your home or you're working from somewhere you're relaxing, but just not just within the four walls of your business. So the question is, how do you ensure, or how should a business ensure, what steps can a business take to ensure that everyone is maintaining the set standards, you know, in terms of dealing with clients, service delivery, you know, to ensure that everyone is maintaining those set standards that would have been the norm when everyone was working within a brick and mortar office. So how can that be maintained by the businesses?
And ensure create since it's visual, um, so you can't possibly be there when staff are responding or attending to clients or customers. What you can do is to first and foremost let them be trained. That's why I talked about the values of the organization. Let the staff be trained. Let them. You can't ask of them what you've not given. So first and foremost, let them be trained that this is how this is done. You know, the work environment has changed. So this is where we work from now. This is where our customers come to. This is where our clients come to. So they come here. This is how you respond to them. This is how our proposals go out. This is how this is done in the new work environment, right? Then secondly, because you've taught them, the other thing now is being able to create a feedback system from your clients, a feedback system from your clients. The staff are trained. They are trained on the organizational standards, that this is how things are done. Organizational standards simply represent how we do things, how we get our things done. So they have that already. Now, to get a feedback on it, you need to create a system that enables the customers, the clients, to respond to how they were treated, how everything went. Basically, just a click of the button. You know, they click. You have very good, not so good. They click on it, and you get that response. Now, when for a particular person, a particular staff, you observe that yes, yes, maybe a sale was made, but the client or the customer wasn't treated very well. So you begin to see for that person, you begin to see the feedback for that person that is always on the red, is always tending towards red. It means that particular staff isn't doing something right. That particular employee isn't doing something right. Isn't doing something right. So the same thing also applies to the employee. They also, we talked about receiving feedback from the employees. So you need to get them to give feedback as well for everything they do. Know, you know, we talked about goals, expectations, company direction. Now, that is what we have put to them. Now their response, that is how they now handle this things we'll put to them, is seen in the feedback they give. In the feedback they give. From the feedback, we can tell if someone, because you see, if you've been told to drive a car, just drive it this way. Just drive the car, engage, drive, and just go straight and stop. If you do that, you get a certain kind of result. You will get a certain kind of result. But if you do something different from what you've been told, you get a different result. So when we see results different from what we expect, we need to call that person's attention and have a talk with the person. Because if you follow our standards, if you follow what you've been trained to do, the way we've asked you to do it, you will get these kind of response, you will get this kind of result at the end of the day. If those results are not coming in, it means either something is wrong with that process, or you are not doing that process that process right. So you call the person's attention and you talk to the person.
Okay, thank you very much for your answer. I think it's answered my question. So thank you once again, Mr. Kelechi Amadi, for coming on this maiden edition of the BEX-CON business conferences. It was a pleasure listening to you speak. So if there are any questions now for both speakers, in the next 2 to 3 minutes, we would like to deal with those questions. And then we'll go on to just brief plugs. And I think we'll be ending the conference afterwards. So any questions for either Leonor or Kelechi? Any questions? Okay, so I'll take it that there's no questions for the speaker. So I'll just like to call on Leonor the Paramore to just give, I know she's done it before, but just give a brief plugs, her Twitter handle and things like that, where you can find her and how you can get in touch with her. So if after the conference you want to get in touch with her personally and share and have some more insights, ask some more questions, get some more support and help, then you'll be able to do that. So Leonor.
Thank you, Hugo. Just a reminder, remember that I'm a business strategy consultant and a small business advocate. So if you have any questions for me or you would like to discuss with me any further questions that you may have regarding your business operations, how to improve your processes, or even how to define your strategy to achieve better results, please get in touch with me. Let me share my screen very quickly because I have everything that you asked just over there. Or you just disabled my screen as well.
Please, I'll make you a host again.
Yeah, so everyone can be on the same page. Another thing that I would like to point out is that I'm fluent.
I've just given you the rights to
oh, okay. Yeah, I can share it now. Yeah, another thing that I want to point out is that I'm fluent in English and Spanish in case your preference language is Spanish or English. So here is my contact information. You can contact me via Twitter, direct message. You can connect with me via LinkedIn, or you can send me an email and I'll be more than happy to guide you through, to have a discussion with you and try to take your business to the next level.
Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm gonna stop
Leonor
sharing.
the Paramore. So, Mr. Kelechi Amadi, if you have some plugs as well, like where people can find you, get in touch with you if they want to learn more about how they can maintain organizational standards and other leadership issues. So they'll know where to find you after the conference is over. So you can, if you have a slide or if you just want to say it, that'll be fine as well.
Okay, on Twitter, I'm on Twitter and on Instagram. As revved up underscore Ikena on Instagram. I've just typed it and put it there on Twitter and Instagram, revved up underscore Ikena. My email address, Kelechi82875 at gmail.com. Kelechi82875 at gmail.com. On Twitter and Instagram at revved up underscore Ikena.
Okay. Thank you very much. I hope you all have gotten the contact details of these various speakers, so you can get in touch with them after the conference is done. So ordinarily we would have been having a business showcase where businesses would have showcased their products, either goods or services and things like that. But unfortunately, we won't be able to do that today because from the trend of the conference today, we haven't had businesses come up to present their goods and services and things like that. So once again, I'd like to thank all the participants, all those who are on Zoom watching via Zoom and those who are watching via the live stream on YouTube. So I'd like to thank everyone for participating. And even more importantly, I would like to thank the two speakers that have given us their time, their knowledge, and even given us more insight on how to navigate the waters in this virtual situation where we all have to adapt our business strategies to suit the situation or the circumstances that we are facing at the moment, and even beyond that. So I'd like to thank Mr. Kelechi Amadi for his paper he presented, and I'd also like to thank Leonor the Paramore for her presentation as well. And I would like to say thank you all once again for being here, and do enjoy the rest of your day. And try, if you want to know more about BEX-CON, for now, you can follow me on Twitter. It's at StakeUgo. That is StakeUgo at StakeUgo. So you could contact me on Twitter and then we could have a discussion. So thank you all once again and enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you. Yeah, thank you, Cesar. Thank you so much. Cesar, thank you for joining. Thank you so much.